Let's see if this, if anybody's gonna watch this. Hi everybody, it's Jess. I don't know what I'm doing, but I went to go for my walk and I was going to listen to my music like I normally do, but they said no, you need to go live. You need to go live. You need to go live. I was like, why? Why do I need to do this? And it's funny because I got a message today about stepping out of my comfort zone. Now, this is odd because I've kind of done that, I thought, right, with regards to going live, but it's usually pre-planned. So, and lots of unplanned things have been happening, and I guess this is one of them. So I'm pretty sure my arm's going to get tired at some point because I'm having the phone all the way up here. But anyway, I'm walking one of these neighborhoods that I usually walk in, and I guess they said, just go live. It doesn't matter if I'm talking to myself. I guess somebody's here. If I'm talking to myself, I'm talking to myself. But it's just going to be a free-for-all. I have no idea what I'm going to talk about. Not yet, at least. But I don't know. We'll see what comes out here. If anybody has anything they want to talk about, by all means, please feel free and put in the chat. Hey, Jason, I had a feeling. Jason, I was going to warn you. But they said, no, don't warn Jason. Don't tell him. Don't tell anybody. I was going to tell my members, and I said, no, I'm not going in there. I'm not going to tell anybody. You know, spontaneity. That's probably what it is. Spontaneity. Anyway, let me try to do something here. Can I do this? That's where I'm at. There's an island there. I set my timer. I usually come here to walk for an hour. My son usually comes with me, but he's actually eating his dinner now. He's now able to have an appetite after him being sick. So he is recovering, and he's kind of eating a little bit later. And my mom was walking the other neighborhood, and I usually like to walk here. I usually feel better walking out here. So I was guided to have you guys come along with me. So again, if anybody wants to talk about anything, you let me know. But they're now telling me that I'm supposed to reveal some things because this is supposed to help some people. This is some stuff that's been happening to me that I haven't been guided to say yet. But apparently there's a little bit of vulnerability here because I know some people are going to be like, wait, what? Type of thing. But somebody needs to hear this. So, Jason, you just finished your walk? We could have walked together, but no. I still have my earth signs to finish tonight. I did Taurus already. That's supposed to go out, but I had to do my walk. But anyway, how was your walk, Jason? I hope you had a good walk. Yeah, and I had to use my old school headphones because my AirPods no longer work with phone calls, and microphone doesn't work. So I can only listen to audio. I can't speak through them. Nobody can hear me through them. So I'm glad your walk was good, Jason. Jason, my moderator. Anyway, this is kind of weird. There's got to be a reason why they're having me do this, like spur of the moment, because I'll be honest, you can probably tell this is a little bit uncomfortable for me because I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm obedient and I listen to what I am told to do. So that's what I'm doing. The good thing is that it's pretty late out here, as you can tell. But it's like, what time is it? It's 9:32 my time, Eastern Standard Time. So it's a gorgeous neighborhood to walk in. So not many people are going to be out, so I won't feel as weird with holding the phone in front of my face like this. I'm reading Jason's comment. Is going to run, but my knee had other plans. Ah, are you still wearing your brace? Make sure you're wearing your brace. Anyway, I guess I'm going to talk about certain things because I was running into things about people talking about how God works and how He pays your debts, how He helps you out. Okay. So, and I know some of you, well, those who watch me, you kind of know. Good. I'm glad you're wearing your brace. Oh, it was wobbly. Okay. Good. Make sure, be careful because you have that other race to run. Anyway, I have to try not to talk too loud because I tend to talk loud because I got Leo. I'm Leo rising, but anyway. And I'm Hispanic, so that's like double talking loud because I keep forgetting I have this. Anyway, I was being reminded of certain things that God had done for me recently, which had to do with me coming back here. It actually came up in the Taurus reading that I recorded today that's planned to go out tomorrow. And this has to do with my situation where I had a feeling like people thought I was crazy for doing what they did, especially leaving that really awesome job that I had with a really high six-figure salary and everything that I worked so hard for that I pretty much lost. So I believe the intent for this is to, I'll probably change the title, is to get people to understand how God works and why God sends us places that we don't want to go. I'm getting that 4 cups, 5 of cups energy. That is what came up for Taurus's reading today. So if you've got Taurus in your chart, this is probably in addition to your reading that I recorded that I will put out, God willing, tomorrow. Or it could really be for anybody. So what happened was, for those of you who don't know, I had to leave my house. I got the notice to leave. I hadn't been able to pay. This is really vulnerable. I hadn't been able to pay. Ooh, dolphin tag. I had squirrel. Wasn't able to pay my rent. God told me to leave my job. And I said, God, but where am I going to get my bills? What am I going to do? And he's like, don't worry about it. Quit your job, start your business, do your life's purpose, and everything's going to be fine. Okay, cool. And then God told me to take out my 401k, all of it, all of my accounts. And as you guys know, I'm not of retirement age, so we know that there's a penalty, right? However, God said, I want you to pay the taxes already, okay? I want you to pay the taxes. I said, okay, cool. I'll pay the taxes. Okay, cool. I'll live on this for a little while and then business will be booming and all that stuff and great, whatever. Put in my 2 weeks. My career was done as a systems engineer, blah, 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 blah. And then later on, after I quit, God said, go ahead, take the money out. I was like, oh my God. And I know people were like, what? You did what? You know, and then you get flack for that, right? Or you have all these other penalties. So I was being obedient, and over the course of several months, my business it was doing well, right? So I'm like, oh, great. I was getting money from my YouTube channel and all this other stuff. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, okay, my YouTube channel just almost flatlined. And I said, what am I doing? I still had some money. I was still getting client work or whatever, but the money I was making from the channel wasn't there anymore. And then the amount of bookings I was getting wasn't there. Whatever I was doing, no donations coming in, whatever. And I'm like, what is going on? And I'm like, shit, what did I do? What the fuck did I do? I mean, I was making a nice salary and I had a job that was very hard to keep. It was very hard to keep. And then God said, no, you're going to be fine. I said, God, the savings, the money, all this stuff you told me to take out is running out. And he said, don't worry about it. I was like, okay. And then that's when it get to the point where I couldn't pay the rent. And I couldn't pay the rent for a year. But by the grace of God, I was able to still pay for utilities and other things. So I had that, right? So I'm pretty sure people were like, what the heck is she doing? Whatever, whatever, she's crazy, blah, blah, blah. And I said, God, what do I do? Do I like ask for all this help? He's like, nope. Do I go back to that job? Nope. And here's the thing, emails were coming in. My old boss, hey, if you want a job again, you know where to find me. And all these other offers, right? Hey, we've seen your resume, you know, LinkedIn or whatever. You could go work for us. And then the salaries they were offering were higher, way higher than I was making when I left my career. And I knew it was the devil doing this. And God, help me out here. It's like, you know what to do. You know what is right for you. You know what I've asked you to do. You need to trust me. You need to have faith. And then it was getting more nerve-wracking, but I was keeping my peace. There was a time where I did get a letter, and then I had someone, a friend of mine, who helped me, a couple of people who helped me to stay in the house for a little while longer. And I was like, okay, awesome, thank you, God. I prayed about it. God gave me that money from other generous people. I said, okay, everything's going to work out. The business is going to take off again, or something miraculous is going to happen, and I'm going to be good to go. We're going to stay here. Okay. Hi, Justin. Justin! Congratulations! I'm so proud of you. You must be excited. I'm excited for you. It's a great accomplishment. You're going to do great things, I'm sure. Anyway, if you guys like want to chat after I say this spiel, we can do that. But anyway, I'm glad. Oh, me, I'm in Coral Springs. I'm technically in Parkland right now, which is the city right next to it. That's where I'm at. So I'll try to get through that story and like we can chat, like shoot the shit about whatever. Anyway, so I was getting to this point. This is interesting why I'm talking about this, but there's a reason. This is why they want me to talk about it. It's supposed to give hope to some of you. But I said, God, like what I got some help, and then it was like nothing else was changing. And then God said, pack your bags, start packing up the house, start giving away more of your stuff, which I was already doing for a long time. And I was like, okay, keep purging, keep purging. But God's like, no, you're going to move. You're going to move. You're going to move. God had been telling me for 2 years I was going to move. You're going to West Palm this weekend? Satellite Beach? Well, let me know. Maybe we can meet halfway, because West Palm Beach is north of me. Anyway, so God says, no, you got to stay put. You're not going anywhere. But I want you to pack. I want you to box up your stuff. And even when I was boxing up my stuff, I would get a message that said, no, you got to reopen that box and take more stuff out. I said, what? Okay. So I took more belongings out. And then I was seeing all these signs about all these people who were going through what I was going through. Okay? It started to show up in my YouTube feed. I was getting bombarded with it, and people were getting miracles. Okay? But I thought that what was happening to them was going to happen to me in the same exact way. So now I see why God was doing this, because He was giving me hope, it was giving me faith. Okay, God saved that person. God did this person. God did that, right? So then what happened was I was like, okay, well, I'm going to be able to have the money to move. I'm going to be able to do this. Now, God, I will say this. In 2020, I think it was September 2020, I was visiting my family here, and I asked God, when am I moving? Because God said, Jess, you're moving soon. And the Libra card came out. It said Libra. It's in the Intuit Oracle. And it said Libra. And Libra season was literally the season after the time I had asked God when I was moving. So I thought it was Libra season of 2020. I did move in Libra season, but not until 2022, which was last year. But anyway, there's something to say to that. So what I did was I kept having faith. I kept praying about it. And God said, just pack your stuff. And then I kept getting signs about California, California, California. Oh, I'm going to California. I was like, okay, let's go. And I was gonna, and people were just like moving by the seat of their pants, having faith. But my son wasn't in the States yet. I said, God, I can't leave without my son, right? So then my son comes back and I'm finishing packing up. And then we both get sick. We had gone to a birthday party at my sister's in Virginia. We both get sick. We most likely had CV-19, okay? The worst thing I got was the fatigue. And then I was like, I'm supposed to keep packing. And then that's when I got my letter. Like the letter, but with no date on it. The letter to vacate had no date. I said, how the hell am I supposed to know when I'm supposed to leave? And usually, based on research, because I've never been through this before, the letter always gives you a date, right? Gives you a date. Well, Justin, you know where to find me, if anything. So, the email, that is. So I said, what? I'm sick, and now I gotta leave? So I had to talk to my parents about it. I talked to my younger sister about it. And I'm like, what is going on? I said, God, I've been obedient. You told me to trust. You told me not to go get a job. You told me to not do this, blah, 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 blah. God's like, you need to trust me, Jess. Okay. So then we're talking to family and we're talking about like what we're going to do. By the grace of God, my sister was nice enough to rent a truck and to take some of my stuff that we were going to take. And we were just like taking things out. And she said we could live with them for the time being, which is what we did. And the crazy thing was that since I didn't have a date to vacate, I had no clue how much time I had. And I think there was a thing in that too, because God didn't want me to focus on the time. So over the past couple of weeks, I was able to take more things out or to really do checks in the house to make sure I had what I needed, or like, photos or something like that, right? Certain things that, I wanted to keep. And I talked to God about what I wanted to keep. So I was given, by the grace of God, some extra time for that. And then what was it? So then it was time for me to turn in the keys, right? We had the college hunks guys, wonderful men who were helping take out the stuff. My sister was gracious enough to help pay for that. And it was like my final days. And when they came to the house, September 20th, I believe it was, to clear it out, and I had to go back to do another check, the whole house was clear, empty, just like it was when I first moved there in 2015, summer 2015, because that's when I had to separate from my then husband to start the divorce process, because in the state of Maryland, if you have children, you have to be separated for 2 years before the divorce is granted or the divorce proceedings start. So everything was empty. I said, this is fucking crazy because there's nothing here. And while I was signing the paperwork, the guy who was overseeing the removal of the items said that the sheriff showed up at the door. The day they were cleaning stuff out. And the guy goes to me, is there it was under Jessica Diaz. That's my married name. Is there a Jessica Diaz here? And the guy said to me, he said, no, because I had, my name was Ortiz. Obviously it still is, but my paperwork was under Ortiz for them. And they're like, Diaz, what? But they kind of knew, they're not idiots. No, there's no one here. Okay, well, we'll come back later. So the guy was like, that was kind of weird. And we just said, no, she's not. She's not. We don't know who that is. They said, we don't know who that is, right? Technically, the last name's different, but still. And I said, son of a bitch. The day everything was done. That's okay. Dog scared the shit out of me. That normally doesn't happen. I'm so in the zone right now. So what happened was that I said, oh my God, the day I was gonna turn in the keys was when the guy showed up. And I was praying to God that the guy would show up. I'm telling you guys, when we talk about divine timing. And when people are like willing to help you out, it's like you take the help no matter like what it looks like, because God is orchestrating everything, okay? So I said, oh my God. And the leasing office wasn't telling us like when the date was. And I talked to other people, said, you didn't get a date, Jess? I didn't even get a certified letter. To be honest, there was no certified letter for this at all either. No date, no certified letter. I'm like, what the hell is this? But anyway, I know why that happened. The last day I turned in my keys and I was done. And I thanked God. I went through the whole house and I thanked God for being able to live in that house, for all the years my son and I spent there, for all the changes that I made about myself. And I was like, okay, I'm going to start anew, right? Because God had to clear everything out. And that was what happened. So I was living with my sister. We couldn't live with my sister. I won't say for reasons because it's like a family thing. So we couldn't stay at her house in Virginia. And so we had to move. The only place left was Florida, which is where I'm at now, my parents' house. I'm like, I don't want to go down there, God. Why am I going down there? It's the last place I want to go. I mean, I love Florida and everything, but I'm not going back to my parents' house. And so they're like, I do have Instagram. Justin. Just look at Capella Wellness. It's there. So I said, okay, I got to go back home? No. So whether you guys have Taurus in your chart or not, I highly recommend you watch Taurus reading because I talk a little bit about this. 4 Cups energy. I was praying for something, but I wasn't getting it. Okay? I wasn't getting it. So I said, God, can you please give me a sign? Like, where am I going? And then right after I asked, I got bombarded with Florida license plates in the state of Virginia. And in a parking lot, I got a random text message about Florida voting, okay? I'm not even a Florida resident. So that text message that had talked about Florida voting was the kicker for me, that God said, I'm telling you right now, you're gonna have to go back there. I said, okay. All right, thy will be done, right? So I'm like, all right, God, this is it. This is it. So pack up my stuff. Had to stop in North Carolina where my other sister lives. She ended up moving my birth month right before my son and I, she was moving up out of Florida. We were coming to Florida. So we stopped by North Carolina where my other sister lives to drop off my cat midnight because my parents said, you can come with us, but you can't keep the cat. And I'm like, I gotta lose my cat too. Well, give up my cat too. And mind you, I had been channeling and putting messages in my previous videos on my YouTube channel that I was like, some of you may have to give up a pet for something else. And sure enough, and I was getting this hit and I said, God, please don't tell me I have to give up my cat too. But God's like, you're gonna have to give up your cat too. But by the grace of God, again, orchestration. My sister was living in the state on the way down and she offered to take care of my cat until things changed, where I got my own place, where we can get the cat again, all that stuff. You see how God works, okay? This is why being obedient is everything. This is why we don't question things, because if you think about it and you put 2 and 2 together, God is orchestrating everything to make everything seamless. Because I thought I was going to have to like put her back with the adoption center that I rented her. I adopted her from. I thought I was going to have to give her to somebody else, but she's with family. Okay, she's still with family. It's just amazing how it works. So my son and I were driving down We're about to leave my sister's house in North Carolina. 2 houses down, we're about to head to Orlando because we were going to stay in Orlando for some time. And I had planned a trip because by the grace of God, I was able to make some sales those 2 months. Yes, I have some more money just for savings, whatever. And I'm going to have me and Julian take a little bit of an Orlando trip for a couple of days. And we're going to go have some fun because we deserve it. We leave my sister's house. Not even a minute later, 2 houses down, my car completely craps out. Long story short, God bless my God brother. I don't even have a God brother, at least not yet. My brother-in-law, he's an excellent mechanic. So he checked out the car. I said, I can't believe it. We're supposed to go back and my alternator craps out, right? And he's like, yeah. He was telling me the alternator crapped out. I can't go to Florida without that alternator. And because I drive a Volvo XC90, that's a car I've had for 15 years, mind you. By the grace of God, I still have the car. I had to pay $900 for the alternator. I was not going to be cheap and risk getting some non-OEM part. And I'm just going to bite the bullet. God will replenish it. I need to get out of here, whatever. God's like, do it. Thank you, God, that I had the money for it. I still had some money left over so that Julie and I can at least spend like a day and a half in Orlando. So we can at least do a little something before going home, but back to my parents' house. So there's that, right? I'm like, geez Louise, this is another thing that's coming my way. Okay, but I'm like, I wasn't questioning it. I was already understanding what the hell was going on. So I get to my parents' house, right? And I was like, oh my God, this is weird. My son's in one room, I'm in the other room, and we've been there for what, past 7 months or so, 8 months? And I was like, oh my God, now what? And I was a little bit like super 4 cups, 5 of cups, really down. I was like, what happened? I felt like I fucked up. I felt like I just took the wrong, maybe I went crazy. This is not what I was supposed to do. And then I had to keep myself from falling further down to a spiral with what everybody else was thinking. God's like, don't you dare start thinking about what everybody else is thinking. Okay? Don't you do that. And I maintained my peace. But mind you, because God had prepared me for all of this, it wasn't hitting me as hard. So many people would have fallen to deep depression, drinking, drugs, whatever. I could have, contemplation of suicide, you name it. I could have gone those routes, and I didn't even think about that, not even once. Not once, ever. I had gone to a place of spiritual strength I didn't even know I had. Even with all of this crazy shit happening in my life, when God is like, you need to trust, you need to trust. You have to have faith, you have to have faith. Just trust in what I am doing. So here comes the miracle part. So over the course of a few months, I had gotten a letter because I was already being sent to court for failure to pay rent, right? And I will say, I haven't shared this with many people, but they're telling me that this is the time to do it. I owed $35,000 in rent, okay? I had a court case for me to go to court and place that on me, right? We kind of know where that goes. A couple of months later, I get a letter in the mail. My court case was dismissed. When we talk about God paying your debts, your faith pays your debt. Your trust pays your debt. Gone. Done. God took care of it, and I was thanking God for months for dismissing that case, okay? Here's the other part of this. When things like this happen to you, you thank God ahead of time. Thank you, God, for clearing this debt. Thank you, God, for saving me from this. Thank you, God, for taking this away. I was even thanking God, thank you, God, for the money to be able for me to either pay the lawyer, because I thought I had to get a lawyer, right? Get a lawyer and do all these things. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? How am I going to get out of this, God? Like, How. We always want to know the how. Don't ever focus on the how, because the how cannot be comprehended by the human mind. This is where the faith and the trust comes in. So I said, instead of asking God how or all these other things, I was thanking him. And I was thanking him for the money. But what God did, it's funny because I'm thinking, my son with DJ Khaled, what God did, and that song actually ended up coming up before I had to leave the house. So that was a whole other thing in itself. The case was dismissed. I didn't have to go to court. I didn't have to pay the 35 grand, not even part of it. Right? You would have run for the hills. And you see, I was panicking at some point. I got to find another place to live. And I tried to force it when I was living with my sister. I was like, I got to find some place. I can't leave here. Right? I need to do something. That's why God was like, you're not going anywhere until you go where I tell you to go. That was cleared. Miracle. That might have been one of the biggest miracles I've ever seen since I've been here. Okay? But I thanked God ahead of time. I changed my prayer. Instead of saying, God, get me out of the situation. God, please, how am I going to do this? God, give me a solution. Give me the money. Whatever. I said, thank you, God, for give me the money at one point. I said, thank you, God, for dismissing this. Thank you, God, for clearing this debt. Thank you, whatever. And I said it for months. And I still had to have that faith, because I'm like, oh my God, what if? The what if starts to come in with the freaking mind here. The devil starts to play with you and say, yeah, right, Jess. That's wishful thinking. But look what he did. Look what he did. And my parents were actually surprised. I got that letter. I was happy. And I literally got down on my knees in my room and was praising God for 5 minutes? Because I saw that letter, I'm like, oh shit, man. And I was breathing and I was calming myself down. I said, oh my God, he did it. God did it, right? And God's like, I told you. So here's the thing. The reason why he sent me all the way out here was because they were like, oh, she doesn't even live in the state. This is a whole different court district system, blah, 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 blah. That's what I was being told by God. I don't know the specifics, but God's telling me right now that's all I need to know. God had to send me all the way here so that I could be sheltered, I could be protected, I was still able to be fed and provided for, even if it was my parents, even if it was going back to the house that I grew up in. But God was like, I needed you to go there so I can clear this out, so we could be done with this. This is how God works. Everything else in the middle of it, the details, the whatever, it doesn't need to be explained, because it can't be explained. And when you have that type of faith and God does things like that, don't question it. Don't question it, because it's done. It is finished. It's over with. And you move on to the next. And then with the 401k that I took out, I got a letter. You owe the IRS $34,000. I said, son of a bitch. Because I took that out. And I knew it was coming. But guess what? Long story longer. I called them up. 7:30 in the morning. I spoke to an agent. I said, sir, can you help me explain this to me with this letter, the CP 2000 or whatever? And he's like, yeah, let's go through this. And so I'm being patient. I'm not getting pissed off. Here's the other thing. I didn't get pissed off that I owed it. I did say, oh my God, now what? God, like more money? And then I stopped myself. I said, no, 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 Jess, nope, nope. We're going to look at this calmly. We're going to breathe. We're just going to be like, okay, we're not going to freak out about this. We're not. And they said, call up the IRS and just talk to them about this, explaining what this is. So I did. And the guy was saying, yeah, so you can set up a payment plan, which I thought we were going to do. Oh, the first agent I called, we went through all these numbers. And she goes, okay, let's see what payment plan we can set up for this. The call got cut off and I couldn't get back into the IRS line. And next thing you know, the IRS was closed. And I said, oh my God, I was about to set this up so I don't have to have this lien on me and I get, like in trouble for it. When I called the next week or 2 weeks later, I got somebody else early in the morning so I wouldn't get cut off or something else would happen. And he's looking at it, he's like, yeah, so you probably have to set up a payment plan. I see your notes from the last person. It's like, what happened? It's like, the call just cut off. And then I'm just praying in the middle of the conversation. And God is like, just be patient. And I was patient. I was like, okay, let's see what else happens here. And the guy says, wait a minute. When did you take this out? 2020. Oh, if you fill out the form 8915E, whatever it was, let me do the math. He's doing calculations. If you took this out during the pandemic, you should be absolved of this. Let me see what you owe. And he goes, you don't owe anything. So this $34,000, you don't owe anything. I said, what? And let me tell you, he took a pause, okay? And I was just being my patient self. I was not pissed off. I was not cursing God out. I was just going with the flow. I was just allowing myself to let me see what this guy tells me and just go from there. And there is a pause and he goes, wait a minute. And then he does the math and says, you don't owe anything. Cool. A few months ago, 2 months ago, I get another letter from them. Oh, you now owe $9,900 something. I'm like, okay, here we go again. But this time I felt better about it. I said, okay, well, that's better than the 34 grand, even though the guy said I don't know anything. Okay. I call them up again. And the woman's like, okay, let's do this, blah, 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 blah. And then she was explaining some things to me. I was going to end the call and God goes, Jess, ask this question. And I asked her, excuse me, ma'am, can you please reiterate what you just told me so that I know my notes are correct? Because she was telling me what to do, right? With the new figure that they gave me. It's the same damn thing. She pauses and she goes, wait a minute. You don't owe anything. We owe you a refund. We owe you money, Miss Ortiz. You see how this works? God paid it off again, but this time I was getting money back. And I give God all the glory because he was the one who made all of this work. I didn't panic. I didn't force anything. I was thanking him again. When I got that other letter, thank you, God, for clearing this or helping me out with the situation. And he did. The alignment also helps when you are in the flow and you are not worrying about jack shit. And you're not freaking out about where the hell the money's coming from or how you're going to pay that debt because God ends up paying it for you, but he does it in his own way. It's supernatural. You can't comprehend it because you're not supposed to. Right? Am I at the end? You're not supposed to. It's not supposed to make sense. You pray about it, you thank God about it, and you let it go. And it's funny because I had been sitting on this for quite some time. And I'm like, God, shouldn't I be sharing something like this? This would give somebody some hope here. And you can't be thinking, well, Jess, that's your case because I'm not there and my faith isn't there, whatever. Faith is strong as small as a mustard seed, right? But this is where, especially when I do my teachings, I encourage you to build that strength, to have that faith, and to do the things necessary, including the wellness pieces that I put into my work, to get you to align yourself so that miracles like that can happen. The universe does back you up, but you've got to do your part. And you can't get pissed off, and you can't be focusing on the debt, and you can't be focusing on, oh my God, how is this going to happen? You focus on the thank you, God, for making it happen. That is where you change your perspective. That is where you change your mentality. Even with my car. Those of you know my car was supposed to die, like dead, gone, dead. That's it, death card, done. February 2nd. My mom turned on the car, it wouldn't turn on. My brother-in-law, who was the one who replaced my alternator, he said, Jess, when you see the red flashing triangle and all these other things go off, it's done. Because I later found out when I got to Florida that my catalytic converters were crapping out. Okay? My car is old. I am only less than 2,000 miles away from hitting 200,000 K. That's the same thing. 200K on my car. Check engine light kept coming on and off, on and off. I'm like, it's only a matter of time that my car is going to die too, and I was prepared for it. I said, God, if my car has to be dead, and dead, I'm accepting it. I have no problem. I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to whine. So be it, God. If you want my car to die, so be it. But then that day when my mom couldn't move the car, I sat there and I prayed. I said, God, I pray this isn't the end already. What do I do? And he goes, go get your portable jumper cables and jump your car. So I called my son to help me, and I jumped my car and it started. It's been running ever since, and that check engine light hasn't come back on. And the crazier thing is, my car actually sounds better than when it did several months ago. And I have told people I am driving by faith, and people think I have lost my damn mind. But let me tell you, when it comes to faith, there is nothing crazy about that. That is why so many people fall into despair and they fall into this hopelessness, and they think that nothing is ever going to come out of anything because the 3D world tells us those miracles don't exist. There's no way you're going to get out of $35,000. There's no way that your court case is going to be dismissed. There's no way that your car is going to work again. We're talking about God here, people. We're not talking about man. Man cannot do these supernatural things. God does it. The archangels do it. I remember I had some crazy shit happen with my car, and I would call upon Archangel Michael, and he would fix it. So if any of you think that whatever situation you're in, it's like there's no way out, you were in a deep, dark hole, you're not. But the thing here is, when God starts giving you signs and he starts telling you things, and especially, I don't want to move there. What about, how am I going to pay for my bills? How am I going to do this? Stop with the how. You have to be changing your mindset and saying, thank you for making it happen. It's not how it's going to happen. Thank you for making it happen. When you change your mentality to that, and you just have that enormous, the bigger the faith you have, the bigger the miracles come in, okay? And then for so long, I was getting a little fearful. Every time I would drive my car, that it was going to stop in the middle of the night. I was going to be an hour south in Hollywood Beach and be stuck there, not being able to come back home. I wouldn't have a car. I'd have to use my mom's car or figure something else out. But now I drive that car, and guess what? It escapes me. And I can tell you right now, just talking to you guys about the car alone, I forgot about my catalytic converters because I had advanced auto parts check the car. Was it P43? I don't know. Anybody remember? I can't remember the error code, but I saw it. I was there. I talked to my old car guy back in Maryland about it. I totally forgot until I just told you guys about that story, that part of my journey. And it's like, wow, it's not part of my reality anymore. My car is fine. Your thoughts create your reality. Hey, Cody. Yes. Thank God for helping us, right? And for the other stuff he's working on in the future. I've been thanking God for other things, lots of other things, before I even had it, because I know he's going to do it. There's no doubt in my mind. And I will be honest, because even this morning, there was a little bit of doubt because I knew the devil was trying to mess with my brain and saying, Jess, that's not going to happen. Yeah, God did all this stuff, but what you're asking about, it's way above your head. It's bigger than life. But then again, if you heard everything that I was talking about, God made miracles happen. And he's going to do it again and however he sees fit and whatever time frame. I cannot get caught up in the timing of it either. I just need to be obedient. I got to keep doing my mission work because there's even that with my business and my mission work. And it's like, God, I've been pushing through this. I've been obedient. I've been doing the best that I can. I've been keeping my vibration high as best as I can. And I'm just living every day in gratitude. But it does get tiring and it does start to make you wonder. But that's because we're human. But when you have done a lot of your inner work, when you have really gone through the ringer and you've seen what God can do in your life and it builds up that faith, like, holy shit. And I already gave you a lot of my track record, okay? And I'm not even done yet because the stuff that I will share later, it hasn't even happened yet. If you look at my track record, that should give you some indication like, holy cow, there's something there when you have that faith and you're not worrying. And let me tell you, it took years to get to that point. And God was building that up through me. But that only happened when I was in solitude. When God stripped me from my job, my friends, so much and put me in hermit mode. God does his greatest work in hermit mode. That's where you do your greatest healing work. That's where that's where God does his greatest work on you. And when you are in a wilderness season, he is getting you to solely rely on him and him alone for everything. Because God is your only source and supply. You do have to do your part. This does not mean you just sit there and pray and you meditate and you do your setting your intentions and your rituals and don't do shit to try to get something. You got to keep moving. You got to keep the momentum. I think I said that in my live on Saturday night, right? It's like me. If I would have gotten pissed at God and said, screw this, man, I'm not going to be doing lives anymore. Well, he told me to stop doing that for a reason. I'm not going to be doing my videos anymore. I'm not going to be helping people anymore. I'm going to go back to a 9-to-5 job and be miserable and be like all the other robots on this planet. I'm going to go do something that I think I love to do, but it's really not my purpose. It pulls me away from my purpose as opposed to bringing me closer to my purpose. And that also brings me closer to God. And this is also continuing for me to continue what I do, to continue to build my skills, to prepare for what's coming next. Because even my trajectory is changing as I talk to you about this. Things start to shift. There's more growth. It's stepping more out of your comfort zone, right? But the key here is really it's stemming from obedience. And yeah, you pray for things and you get something and you're like, that's not what I asked for, God. And then disappointment after disappointment after disappointment. But you got to see the silver lining, because there is always the light in the dark. There is always some good that comes out of something that is perceived to be as bad. Just like when I was told to move back with my parents. And some of you may be running into that situation. You may be in that now, maybe coming into that later, sometime maybe next year. I don't know. It could be similar, right? You may be in a situation like, why the hell do I have to be here? I didn't want this, God. Like, what the hell? You better check yourself, because if you can't see that purpose, you still have some work to do. You still have to like really connect with God, like really get to center and be in complete silence and listen. Don't be sending stuff out there and like asking God all these questions. You sit, don't say anything, don't think anything, and listen. And watch what comes to you. But of course, you have to be in a very calm state to be able to listen. And then God's going to start showing you. That's why he said, that's why I sent you to Florida, Jess. And on top of that, God had to clear all that in my past life, the old Jess life, so that the new could come in, right? God, you can't pour wine into old wineskins. That's that saying, right, in the Bible. So God's like, Jess, you can't have this stuff for where I'm about to bring you to. And he made it happen in a way where like practically everything was lost in a month, guys. 3 weeks. 3 weeks. Threes. God's like, I got to expedite this. I got to clear this shit out of Jess's life. Bam, done. Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah, it was tough as balls, but it made me tougher. And anything that came my way, I'm like, bring it on, universe. What else? Now I know anything that I come up against, I have the strength to face it. And it will only build me up even more. It would only boost my faith up even more. And I'll be like, somebody says, oh my God, man, like with my car, what are you gonna do about your car? Blah, 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 blah. God's got it. God's got it. Maybe all of us should start saying, God's got it. What am I worried about? God's got it taken care of. He's a million steps ahead of us already. I'm walking down this path. I'm walking the same laps that I did already, but that doesn't matter. God's way down there. He's just waiting for me to catch up. So whatever it is, whatever obstacle you face, know that it's part of your plan, but it's also part of you being built up. And you can't be freaking out about the worldly things. That is a huge thing, but it takes time for most people to understand that, to believe that, to have so much faith that the things of the world are just that, things of the world. Okay? That's what it is. Because it doesn't exist. Matrix, right? Hold on, I'm reading Cody's. We all have to keep moving. That is true. I definitely agree. Yeah. Oh, Simone come in. Hi, Simone. I didn't see you. So I guess somebody here or some people needed to hear this. And I got inspired about that because there was somebody who came across my feed who talked about certain things that were similar to what she went through. And it reminded me of what God did after, especially after I got here. God still put a roof over my head. I have to be grateful for that. There were people who went through something similar to I did at the same time. They ended up living in their cars. Now I know God has a different plan for them. God has a different plan for all of us. And I'm not trying to instill fear or anything about that, but the possibility may be somebody here living in their car. But even if that is the case, or maybe you are in your car right now and you're watching this, Change your perspective. No, yes, it is tough. I cannot put myself in your shoes. However, he will tell you, turn it around when you believe that he will be. When you thank him already for getting you out of that car or whatever situation that you are in. And it can last a long time where you won't see anything happening, but that's usually because God is bringing something in bigger. He's bringing in something in greater. You've got to find the joy in whatever situation you are in, no matter how difficult it is. Find a sanctuary, build a sanctuary for yourself, like my altar in my room. I got my room set up the way I want. I'm still working on certain things. You choose to be happy in whatever situation you're in because God doesn't want you to suffer. And some people, you may be thinking, why would God put me in this situation? It's there for a reason. And probably for some of you, you're going to be teaching something, right? It's like for me, I can't worry about how I'm going to get my own place again, right? But there are so many possibilities that God can do to turn it right around. We all know this story about Joseph, how he was in a prison for 10 years and then the next day he was in a palace. Overnight success, overnight change in living situations, right? God has that ability. It's like when that sheriff showed up at my door the day that the guys cleared out my house. And I had no fucking date. That to me was already telling me, God's like, you really have to have faith. Keep moving. I had to keep moving. I had to keep moving. Everything else that ensued, even stuff way before then, which I won't talk about now because it's not irrelevant, but goes back to before my awakening. But at some point I mentioned stuff about this, but they're like, you don't have to talk about that now. I'm talking more about my recent situation, right? Because I talked about in the Taurus reading how I'm teaching these things about the blessings and the manifesting whatever, or like, trusting in God and doing your work, getting your vibration up there. And people looking at me like, well, she's living in her parents' house. Some of you may be looking at my numbers on YouTube. Oh, and if anybody knows anything about monetization, well, she's not getting whatever. Like, how is she teaching me how to get the desires that I want and to have me, have this in life when she doesn't seem to have it? Oh, you just don't know. That could be why I'm telling some of you what God has already done. And apparently now is the time to say it. God's done bigger things than giving me monetization from my channel, than giving me followers and likes and shit. What he has done already is it surpasses that. It supersedes that. Okay? These are things that God is doing supernaturally in my life. Like, look what I'm going to do for you. Look what I did. And I give him all the glory. There's no way man could have done anything. I couldn't have done anything except for having faith and trust and just continuing on my path and believing in myself, right? That I have the power to be able to work with God, to create these things, to help him to create these miracles. I do my part, he does the rest. I have my faith and my trust. I keep my health intact. I keep my vibration high. I stay obedient to God. That's all he's requiring me to do. And to be an example of Christ consciousness. And God does the rest. And he keeps doing other things. I thank God for something just a week and a half ago and it materialized all at one shot on one day. That I can't talk about just yet. But at some point I will. And it keeps happening. And I tried it again, and I thank God for something even bigger than what I got the other week. And it's not here yet, but I'm like, I'm being tested. Your commitment is being tested, Jess. Yes, I gave you that thing that was something you weren't able to manifest that quickly before, but I'm testing you. Are you still going to thank me for that, even though you did it as quickly as you did the last time? Are you still going to be thanking me, even though you've been putting in all this work and nothing seems to be happening yet, but I'm still having that faith, but I know what it's doing for me and for my soul and doing for other people because I'm here for spirit and service, right? And I remember asking God, because I was looking at apartments, right? And God said, just wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. Your last house was a townhouse. Why are you settling for less than what you had before? You know you don't want an apartment. You don't want another townhouse. So ask me what it is you really want. This is the other part, guys. We have to be open and honest with God about what it is we really want. And we put that out there. We do our part and we allow God to do his work. We allow the archangels to support God and making everything come together. Perfect orchestration. Because he's like, why do you want to go back to doing that? Why do you want to go back to living there when your dreams are here? You're lowering your standards. And some of you may be thinking, I don't deserve that. I don't think that's possible. If you don't think it's possible, guess what? It won't be possible. If you think you're undeserving, guess what? God's like, okay, you're not deserving of this? Okay, then I won't give it to you. It's funny because I think even talking about this is kind of like reassuring something in me because, now this like nervousness and this like, what am I going to talk about goes away because now I just went into channeling mode and I'm being supported as I'm talking about this. So it's more of reassurance, but also helping others to understand that God does work miracles, but he's expecting us to have even the smallest ounce of faith, to even just trust in what he's doing in our lives because he sees the bigger picture than we can see. It's his plan. It's not our plan. He's the one who created us. He's the one who already laid out everything, all the people we were going to encounter, all the jobs we're going to have, all the decisions we're going to make, all the mistakes we're going to make. But when it comes to his grace and his mercy, we still fuck up. We still go right as opposed to go left in a sense. So we still stay in place. Some of us can still be angry at God and curse God out and all this other stuff. But then when we come back to him, kind of like the prodigal son, and we start seeing things differently, we have more hope, we have more faith, we have more trust in God and what he's doing in our life. That's when things start to shift for you because you are shifting your vibration. You're shifting your perception about how things are happening for you as opposed to happening to you. And you will never, ever be able to fathom how God is going to do something miraculous in your life because you have a human brain. So don't even try to attempt to figure it out. Just like I did with all my other stuff. I was just thanking God for it ahead of time. And he's always delivered. Always. So God will start to show you, give you little breadcrumbs, give you little miracles, because I started to have little ones, and then they became bigger, and then they became bigger, and I'm like, oh my God. This is what it's like to be in the flow. This is what it's like to have that much faith. And you need to ask for the help. You got to ask God for help. You got to ask our angels for help. But remember, when the help is given to you in a way that you weren't expecting, you need to accept that help. You may be thinking, that's not going to get me what I really want. I really want this, but God's giving me, they're answering my prayer, but I'm like, nah, I was hoping for this instead. Or I was hoping for the Amazon Prime box as opposed to the UPS driver delivery. Be careful what you pray for, because you will get it, but it will come to you in an UPS box as opposed to an Amazon Prime box, and you know what I'm talking about. And times these blessings, these people will come from God through people who may have betrayed you, who may have screwed you over, who may have stabbed you in the back, who may have done you dirty. Because God can do that too. And certain people who come into your life that you've prayed for, you are expecting one thing, but He's giving you something better. This is where you have that divine intelligence to be able to understand that what you are being given is actually for your highest good when your 3D self thinks that it's not. You're looking at somebody who's been through that many times over. Everything that came my way, it's like, that's not really what I expected. Okay. Blam. Something miraculous happens. Something else comes in. That's not, okay. I wasn't, okay. Here it is again. All right. I'm going to go do my thing. I'm going to thank God anyway. Here comes another miracle. That's how God wants us to work with Him. Because God's got your future covered. God's got everything covered. There's no need to worry, right? It's that, what is it, Matthew chapter 6? I've been saying this often. If I worry about tomorrow, tomorrow will worry about itself, right? There's already enough stuff going on for today. Why freak out about something tomorrow that may not ever happen? And remember, with your mindset, if you're having like self-fulfilling prophecies, then you're going to have that. You're going to prophesize that thing into the physical. The more you freak out about it, the more you stress about it, your energy will cause that to happen. Anything dark, anything lower vibrational, anything relating to anger and resentment and bitterness, you're going to manifest that type of energy into your physical reality. If you're coming from a place of scarcity mindset, from a place of lack, you will continue to attract that lack. You put nothing into the universe, you are getting nothing back. You're putting low shit into the universe, you're going to get more low shit back. To include people. Don't stop believing, right? He's going to surprise us with many things we didn't expect at all. Each random moment in our lives, absolutely. Well, Jason, you know that that's one of your strong suits. You are being encouraged to keep singing. We've been getting messages about listening to music and connecting with it and singing. You have a beautiful singing voice. Use that to manifest. But remember, when you're singing, sing praise. Sing, glory to God. Sing in a way that you are thanking God already, that you are being hopeful, you're being faithful. It's positive, because even with your voice, you're putting that positivity out to the universe. If you're singing something melancholic or something that's bringing you down, that's not going to help you, right? Either way, like Cody said, you have to trust. But it's all part of the process. And those of you who have to seem to have it tougher than others, you're going to be beacons of light, faith, and hope for others. Just like how God has called me to do this. And trust me, I was like, I really don't want to do this, God. Like, I usually listen to my music while I'm walking because this is part of my manifestation process when I'm doing this. Right? And I'm like, and I got to finish my readings later. If they guide me to finish the readings, you know what I mean? But they're like, nope. And it was getting stronger right when I pulled up to this parking space. They're like, do it, do it, do it, do it, do it, do it. I said, okay. Obedience is everything. Oh, it's so humid here. See my bangs start to flatten and it's like, cousin it. Can't see my face. See, like my hair is frizzing out. That's hilarious. My hair always frizzes out down here. The weather. But anyway, I think that's about all I wanted to say. Is that it, Holy Spirit? I think so. But as I was saying, your experiences are going to give people hope, faith. We all have the light within. We have to share that light. And it's a beautiful thing when you are vulnerable about things, right? Because people will be like, holy cow, like, what is that? If God can do it for that person, God can do it for me. And God can do it for everybody. But if you go back to what I just said, you have a part in this. There are things that you're being asked to do so that God can be just coming in miracle after miracle every time. So that's why I was talking about you do your part, God does the rest. And you don't worry about the how, but you've got to pull yourself out of that 3D mentality, thinking that there's no freaking physical way that this is going to happen when it's going to happen in ways you just cannot conjure up, you cannot fathom. And that's not for you to figure out. That's where the God piece comes in. That's where the faith comes in, because it's like, how? Right? Because I was like, wow, God, like, I can't believe you did this. And he did. And all I did was like, I don't care, I don't know how you did it, but thank you for doing it for me, time and time again. So be careful also what you're projecting out there. If you're talking negatively about things not happening for you, about money issues, and I don't have this, I don't have this, I don't have that, I'm never going to have this, guess what? You're telling the universe, oh, you don't have that? Okay, well, we were about to give it to you and we'll just take it back. Right? Lack attracts lack. When you're not in a state of gratitude, God's not going to give you more if you can't be happy with what you already have. It's like me owning everything. Everything I own is now in my bedroom that I'm in now. I've gone back to when I was younger, before I moved out of my parents' house to start my career in the Mid-Atlantic. I came back with the little that I had when I left the state back in 2003 to go out from under the wings of my parents, to go leave my comfort zone and to move to a place where there was no family. I had never been there in my life. I didn't know what the hell to do because I had never been on my own before. But I thank God all the time that I had that experience. Not only did I meet my counterpart up there, but it helped me to become the person I am now. And I learned so much how capable I really was. And I said to myself, it's now or never, Jess. You're gonna have to boss up here and really start coming into your own. Patience and positivity. You were gonna call me? Well, Jason, apparently whatever you were wanting to call me about, apparently other people may have needed whatever counsel. And this is funny because I'm getting in my car. Hold on a second. You know what? You want to know something funny? Where the hell is this thing? Did I pull this out? You guys probably know when other people are doing their like videos and stuff in their cars or whatever, right? I was gonna make a joke. I don't know, I might do it, but I was gonna be like sitting in the bathroom instead and doing like a talk or whatever. I I thought maybe doing something crazy like doing a reading while sit not literally on the toilet, but in the bathroom. You get the point. Because I kind of laugh at how so many people do the same thing and they do their lives or they do their talks in like the same place, or a lot of people do it from their car. And I'm like, what does that mean? You guys saw my live. What did I say? God doesn't move a parked car. There must have been a reason why I was asked to talk to you guys to do my live while I was walking around. Could have been part of my manifestation process, right? Who knows? Maybe I miraculously manifested something by doing that walk and talking to you, giving you guys encouragement. But I always would chuckle when I would see a lot of these videos with people in their cars, right? And it's funny because I'm doing that now. And I'm like, I'm not going to fix the lighting. I'm not going to do whatever. It's like, pfft, I don't have to be like everybody else. But this is kind of funny that I'm in my car, like doing this. But now I have to take these things off. My Bluetooth audio is so jacked up, it's not even funny. Can you guys still hear me? Because I'm pulling these out. I'm pulling out. Look. Look, guys. When I talk about gratitude, you just saw my odometer. I have all the faith. She's going to surpass 200K. Justin, you had 250K? Wow, what car do you drive? But remember, my car was supposed to be dead like February 2nd. Like I said, when I talk about gratitude with this car, I got this car a year before my son was born. My son's only known this car. Other cars, but he's only known me to drive this car. And his birthday is in 2 weeks. And it's just amazing because I brought my son home in this car 14 years ago at the end of May. It's Memorial Day, baby. And now he sits in the passenger side. It's the craziest thing. And this lady right here is still around. And it just makes me wonder, like, it still shocks me to this day what God can do. This car is old. It's been around the block and then some. It's been all the way to New York and all the way down here. Almost all of the East Coast. Wow, you've been driving, they said that? You've been driving a death trap? Well, you already heard my car story, but, you do what you're guided to do. Nice. You had it for that long, Justin? That's pretty awesome. That's really awesome. Since high school. Wow. That is great.
Oh yeah, Jason, that's right. The first live you were in of mine was Memorial Day weekend of last year, right? Yeah. Yep. I know. I can't believe it's going to be a year. Crazy. But anyway, I guess you can come with me on my drive home. Get to see me driving. It's funny because I see some people too. They're driving around talking, and it's like that'd be fun. But if I'm being even more honest with you, I just recently switched my cell phone plan to include the unlimited data because of my circumstances. And then I said, why am I afraid of upgrading my plan? Turns out I'm saving more money than what I was. The phones are paid off. So I'm like, that's why I did the live. They were calling me to do it. And they said, Jess, don't worry about paying for the unlimited plan. I'm behind, but not really. So that I can do stuff like that. And I always admire people who are in their cars driving. It's not the daytime. Maybe one of these days I'll take a drive because it's gorgeous out here, and maybe you'll see some palm trees coming by. But yes, that's my car. But yeah, maybe I'll take a drive. Maybe drive A1A. You guys can come with me to the beach. It's kind of weird because I've never done this before. Usually I might FaceTime people while I'm driving, but that hasn't happened in a long time. Hasn't happened in a long time. Man, how long did I walk for? My mom's like, she's not back yet. I tell you, when you live with Hispanic parents, oh, can't see me. When you live with Hispanic parents, it's quite the thing. I'm in my 40s, and it's like, where are you going? When are you going to come back? Are you still on the road? Are you on the way home yet? I love my parents, though. I do. It's just funny. Anybody who's Hispanic out there, you know what I'm talking about. I know some of you, Jason, I know you know what I've told you stories about things. It's just funny. I know it's dark. I'm still here. Because obviously you can hear me talking. But yeah. Anyway, does anybody have any questions? I'm not too far from the house. So if you have any questions, I may be able to, I may be able to answer them really quickly. If I can get the words out of my mouth. I don't know. Somebody nervous around here? I'm going under the lights and you're seeing me kind of I don't know what that was, a sigh or a yawn. My bangs are parted because the humidity, it's like parting of the Red Sea. So, if you want to know, I'm passing by my high school, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas. If anybody knows about the news, this is where one of the mass shootings happened. I'm pointing at it right now. My high school was one of those mass shooting high school cases. Can you believe it? And one of my cousins was going to that school. She was there when it happened. It's crazy how I passed by my old high school and that type of shooting happened. It's still it's still crazy to me. And then I had a cousin going there at the time. I was floored when I heard about it on the news. But anyway, it's stuff like that. We as a collective really need to do our part in raising the vibration. It's not just about people with guns and stuff. It's about, unconditional love and compassion and loving each other and lifting each other up. Because we don't know what somebody's going through. We can assume the shit out of everything. But until we try to better understand others, we're going to continue to run into these situations. And those of you who are light, you've got a big part to play. Keeping the light on. Like I said, being the beacon of light and faith for others, right? What is with all the cops? I'm hearing Archangel Michael. But anyway, this is really funny. I'm driving and I'm live on YouTube, so can't really see anything, fun out there. It's dark, but I just love the fact that she's still going. I tell you, it feels so different. I just keep praying. Like, I keep thanking God that my car is still running. It's like from point A to point B. I still get to drive to the beach. I still get to drive to that house, the neighborhood I was at, do my walk, run my errands, to go out with my son places. We had an awesome Mother's Day dinner, just him and me. We had crabs and shrimp and all types of awesome stuff last night. I said, Julian, let's go have our Mother's Day dinner, just the two of us. We're having a whole family thing this coming weekend. I'm all for it, but I wanted crabs for Mother's Day, and we're not doing crabs this weekend. So I told my son, let's go celebrate the Mother's Day, even though we should be celebrating everything every day, not just one day. That's bullshit. We should be celebrating each other all day, every day. But anyway, that's beside the point. So I said to my son, let's go have a feast. And we did, and we heard the greatest old school R&B, rap, hip hop songs that were playing on the in the restaurant. And my son knows about these songs. I said, how do you know about this? This game or this, I watched this. And we were like really, really bonding even more over that, because we both love music too. And it was like, oh my God, what a wonderful dinner. So yeah, we had a grand old time. See, and I talked about in my weekly, if you haven't heard the weekly, I did say, go do what you want to do for Mother's Day. And since I knew we were going to be doing all this stuff with the family this coming weekend, I said, no, I'm just going to make the Mother's Day dinner yesterday. And that's what we did. And it was just me and my kiddo, like how it's been for so many years. Like, I can just have my son and me, and that'd be the greatest thing. I'd be fine. But yeah, it's kind of like we had our moment, and we bonded even more, and it was a lot of fun. So, and I remember I talked about the single fathers, right? You should be celebrating Mother's Day too. Hi, Desiree. Jason, you're always the baby no matter your age. Yeah. Can't. Wow. Send me an email. I'll explain it to you. Picking up something else from you, but my guides are telling me I can't talk about it here. So if you want some clarity on that, send me an email. My email is in the description box, at least it should be. I just left the description the way it was. I didn't even want to bother fixing it. Okay. So, yeah. Shootings at your school in 2 weeks? Gee. That's crazy. After city burned down, you were in high school? My God, Justin. Oh, San Diego. That's right. I was like, weren't you on the West Coast? Jeez. Jesus, take the wheel. Hey, follow me on Instagram. It's funny because I haven't really been doing anything on Instagram. Let me tell you, like my guys are having me go through all these different things, and there's going to be a big revamp of stuff. So it's like, and every time I try to get back like on schedule, last week my son was really ill, so that threw me off, and now it's like other stuff going on, and I even woke up much earlier today, and it's like, okay, what happened here? But I'm going with the flow. Remember, Archangel Michael will come in to reschedule things, especially if it's coming from God, right? It's for your highest good. So just go with the flow and just let things run their course. But I know I'm going to be changing quite a few things. I have all these other ideas and all this other stuff that I'm planning on doing, or what I'm being guided to do. But yeah, that's that. But anyway, does anybody have anything? Because I'm going to end this. I'm going to go head in. I'm going to go check in on family real quick, check in with my son, and then I'm going to get to center to see if I need to do any other readings before tomorrow. And I know there's a number reading that I got to do, so they're reminding me of that. So I have to go see what they want me to do before I take my shower and go to bed. So if nobody has anything, any last call, anybody have anything, any last words? Anybody have anything? It's funny because you can't really see me. This light's like really weird yellow. I don't know. Not that it matters, as long as you can hear me. That's the important thing. I don't know if there's a delay on this or what. Bye. I'm glad you did, Cody. Cody, quick question. You were talking about being excited on Saturday night. You still excited? You still in that momentum? Are you still there? Oh my God. Awesome. Good for you. Good for you. Stay in that vibration. Like I said, I don't know if you have Taurus in your chart, if you watched the Taurus reading,